George Washington is the first president and also the General of the United States of America. Well, the Army was, anyway. And these represent the Army, the American Army. And the British, well, the Redcoats, this is their army. Plus, every one of them knows how to handle a gun. And
what about us?
The Americans?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were outnumbered, out-experienced, and, oh yeah, plus all the enlistments were going to be over in winter. So, yeah, it didn't look good. But most of the men decided to stay. Only like 10 maybe decided to leave, which basically put it like this. And in the Congress, meanwhile in the Congress, they needed money. They could even pay for a pair of new shoes. All their shoes there weren't any. So, yeah. In the Congress, there was Benjamin Franklin, who was also a big part of this story. Benjamin Franklin went to France to try and convince the French to join the American Army. The first French soldier in Liberty Kids was named Lafayette. And Lafayette had to sneak on wearing a merchant's clothes. Or, as his friend put it, a woman's clothes. Anyway, in the Congress, meanwhile, in the Congress, this was happening. Basically, a bunch of these people were arguing. Except for Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was probably the smartest person there, really. Pretend it's white. Anyway, Benjamin Franklin stayed quiet. And everyone else was screaming, arguing, and couldn't come to a single decision. Until the Declaration of Independence. Written by Thomas Jefferson. The Declaration of Independence made America an independent state. But, if I remember correctly, the war lasted 3 more years. But the British also had Tories on their side. And Tories were spies. There was a lot of heartache and loss and cruelty in the war of the American Revolution. So, yeah. It was not a good thing. Anyway, in the first 3 or 4 battles, America lost. America retreated. Ran away. And the British, on the other hand, stay their ground. And while we Americans fled, they were taking over more land and more space. And during a surprise attack, we won. After that, we won a lot. Like, a lot. King George was angry. And then the British surrendered. And us Americans were victorious.
Why'd they surrender?
Because we beat them fair and square. Technically, not fair and square, but still. King George III did not want them to surrender. He kept saying that they would never surrender. But we discovered their camp and surprised them in an attack. And won the attack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, by that time the Hessians had joined the British and the French had joined the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
The French joined after the Declaration of Independence and the wins. And us Americans retook New York City. Thanks to the help of General Washington, of course. But as we now know him, President George Washington. I forgot the orange. So we were victorious. New York was free. After that, the war raged on for like 3 years, and then it was over. Just like that. But there was a very bad downside for all of the soldiers. They were all farmers. Even George Washington, but he survived. The farmers couldn't pay their debts, so they were thrown in jail. Even though they fought for America's freedom. But yeah, they got thrown in prison because they couldn't pay their debts.
Their debts?
Yeah, that is.
What started the war?
What started the war? Well, that's kind of... Actually, that's not known. Everyone thinks it's because of the British and the taxation, but I'm not sure. Because it didn't start with the taxes. It started with the Boston Massacre, which led to the Boston Tea Party, which led to war.
No, it didn't. The Boston Massacre had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it did. The Boston Massacre had everything to do with it. Except nobody believes that. But in the Boston Massacre, the British killed several colonists, which angered the Americans so much it caused the Boston Tea Party, which, oh yeah, caused the war. Sheesh. The British were also using their power to... hard to describe it, really. Too much to their advantage, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Boston Massacre happened, it just angered the colonists way, way more. So, of course, the colonists did the Boston Tea Party, which was also because of the Tea Act, which was when the British put a tax on tea.
Yeah.
They would show that showed that they would rather dump the tea in the sea and wash it away than pay extra taxes
Mm-hmm.
and drink it. Which, of course, started the war.
Who did the Boston Tea Party?
Sam Adams and the Sons of Liberty. Oh, plus several other people, because no one really knows. I think it's Sam Adams and the Sons of Liberty because, well, technically, they're the most furious. Sam Adams is also the brother of John Adams. John Adams is the judge of the British from the Boston Massacre. And he declared 7 of 8 men not guilty. And only one was, whatever they do to people who murder. So, yeah. You could say it's kind of a bad thing.
What else did John Adams do?
He was in, I'm pretty sure he was in the Boston Tea Party too. John Adams, let's see. I'm pretty sure he was also part of the Congress with Benjamin Franklin. Plus he did some other things. I don't remember what. Oh, and I now know why John Hancock signed his name so big. So that King George could read it without his spectacles. Glasses.
Yeah.
And after 3 years, we became free. And after like a couple of another years, we became the America that we know and love today.
Yeah.
So yeah. Except during the 3 years, the farmers were thrown in jail because they couldn't pay their debt, even though they fought for freedom.
Yep.
In their way, your freedom.
Yeah. What about your freedom?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, kids aren't free. They still have rules by their parents.
Well, we have laws that we have to follow.
Yeah, but we're free. You are anyway. Cause Mom, you don't have to pay extra taxes just because the king wants it to pay for the French and Indian War.
You're so weird.
I'm not weird.
All
They're
right.
the ones who are weird.
Yeah. Are you done now?
Yeah.